And we are back. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Like once we get into the swing of this, I feel like uh, I'm big on momentum. Like once we get a good momentum and a good rolling start, then we can always like create space for these well, not always. Obviously, we've missed some time, um, but I feel like if we get a good rolling start and life doesn't necessarily get in the way, and we can always get a good cadence going and get some consistency in producing these. Either way, I'm glad that we are here and we found time and space for each and created space for each other. And I don't know. I don't know how long this one is going to be. It's just like a thought I had, and I figured why not talk about it. But we are going to start off how we always start off, with an exercise in mindfulness. 10 breaths, focusing on your breath. I prefer your eyes closed, starting now. Now that we're here, I have the brain teaser for you. If two's a company and three's a crowd, what are four and five? If two's a company and three's a crowd, what are four and five? Um, I don't know. I've been. What's interesting, uh, it doesn't matter what conversation I have or with who I'm having conversation. Creativity always sneaks its way into the conversation. Um, I want to say I blame myself for it, because, and you guys can, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but ask yourself, like, how often does creativity come up in conversation in your daily life? I don't know that it's something, and maybe, and to the point that I was making, or at least to help back my thought processes. One of the reasons that I wanted us to create this space is because I don't feel like we talk about creativity enough. But yeah, I don't believe that outside of the spaces, and I'm not saying the creative conversation is not being had. I'm saying it's not as frequent as maybe other topics. But for me, it always comes up in conversation. So, and it's creativity, like in a general sense. Obviously, I've made it a point of mine to intentionally help people reconnect with their creativity. So there's some advocacy from my standpoint, but which is I think is a separate conversation, and like telling people about your creativity. Uh, yeah, I think those are two different conversations, and I can acknowledge that. Like, there's one where it's like, let's talk creativity and certain elements and the process, or creative outlets. But there's another thing when you have a creative skill or gift, and how to introduce that into conversations, which I think is a lot more difficult for a lot of people. It's almost like selling yourself. How do you sell yourself and your skills and your creative skills and your abilities? Um, how do you introduce it in conversation? When is the right time to introduce it? And the reason I'm bringing this up, because I was asked this, and um, I don't know. I sat and I thought about it, and it's not until I started to talk here in this moment that I realized, like, there's two different things. It's which we just kind of deciphered, or differentiated between the two. And uh, there's a phrase, or like an adage or a saying, or about like vegans. I don't know if it's true. I'm not a vegan. If you're a vegan, please don't take offense to it. The question is, how do you know somebody's a vegan? And they'll say, don't worry, they'll tell you. Like, that's how you know. They'll tell you. And they'll keep telling you that they're vegan. Listen, I don't know if it's true. Don't shoot the messenger. But similarly, like, I think that, how do you know somebody has a creative gift? Like, they'll tell you. Like, it'll show itself. But in spaces, especially when there's, like, you think about, like, let's in a regular networking setting, right? Like, there's different elements and considerations, and, like, what is the word I'm looking for? Like, there's different things that you have to consider that make up a networking event, right? Like, there's the uncomfortability of the unknown, the new environment, new people, different personalities. You never know what the conversation is going to be. Like, yes, there's a generic, hey, how are you? What do you do? Where do you do it? Who do you do it with? Like, that sort of stuff. But it's hard to, and I can imagine in those settings, it's difficult to say, like, hey, I do this and I do it really well, without kind of sounding like arrogant. Like, did the conversation call for that? Like, and when do you know? And I'm laughing because there's always those people, and I hope I'm not one of them. And if I am, listen, this is a judgment-free zone. But there are people that you meet where within 30 seconds or a minute, they've given you a rundown of all their skills, what they're good at, and what they do, and then you're sitting there, like, just almost feels like it's overwhelming, because a part of you, you don't want to respond because you don't want it to feel like a competition, but you want to give yourself processing time. Like, okay, good. I didn't ask for this information. Now that I have it, what do I do with it? And because it can feel a little bit overwhelming, I would argue that in those moments, that most of the people that are experiencing that from the vantage point of the person who is hearing or listening to it, may not remember any of the things that you said, but they'll remember how that feeling. And that's a theme that has come across. I think it was Maya Angelou that said once that people might not remember what you said or what you did, but they will remember how you make them feel. And when you just run off and rapid fire all your skills or your creative gifts, I think to the receiver, it may come across as overwhelming. And that doesn't help you, the one sharing, because if we're considering the feelings of the receiver, then it's almost like I can't even appreciate your gift because how it's being delivered. So I always tell people, especially in conversation, trust you and your ability to be able to find the pockets in conversation where your creativity feels like it'll add value. There's an organic nature in conversations, and I'm talking regular conversations. Like, don't confuse this for a sales pitch or somebody with ulterior motives who's trying to get a message or a point across. Like, those scripted or structured conversations that have an end goal in mind. This is not that. This is just pure organic conversation. Like, hey, who are you? Nice to meet you. What are you doing here? When you off, like, regular conversation. And I always feel like you should never lead off with what it is you do for a living or your skill in general, especially if it's not a networking event. A networking event, you're there for a few reasons, but you're looking for a resource, or you're trying to sell your skill, and then that is obvious again. But I'm not talking about in those instances. I feel like people remember honest and authentic conversations, and for creatives, I would encourage or advise that you listen before anything else. Because people are always quick to tell you more about themselves and their lives without even asking. And there is always like subtle hints of where they are in their life and the things that are happening. And I think depending on what your gift is, what your creative abilities are, if there is a need for it, it'll come up in conversation. And because people always want to feel like you're adding value to their life, to their lives. We are hopeful as much as we are hopeless as human beings, as we coexist in this world. And we'll share our stories. I've said it before. I think in sharing our stories is how we realize how similar we all are. And in sharing those stories, we identify the gaps or the opportunities that exist as well. And in conversation, honest conversation, authentic conversation, the opportunities to showcase and speak to your creative abilities will always come up. And they don't necessarily have to come up in the moment. And I think that's one of the things, or the interesting things that we should be aware of and be conscious of. Like, you have to assume, like, yes, there's this idea that you strike while the iron is hot and you take advantage of every opportunity. But you also have to trust the timing of things. And unless there's some level of urgency, there's always going to be opportunities to create more opportunities. And I'm saying that knowing that there's an argument against this as well. I feel like me telling you what my creative gift is, the moment I see you, is less effective than me making a connection, an honest and authentic connection with you on a topic or in a conversation that has nothing to do with my creative abilities. I feel like it would connect more if we find relatable elements in our lives, if we identify synergies that exist between us, and maybe find moments of overlap and interests that are similar. What that does, it creates opportunities for a continued conversation, create opportunities for future engagements. And in those engagements, we're going to learn more about each other. And that's when you get to find out that I have a way with words, or I understand innovation, and I can create space for creativity. I can connect you with your creativity. I'm a futurist. I have all these varying skills that all speak to my ability to innovate. And there's no pressure for me to have to convince you of that or make you aware of that in our first conversation. And I trust that. I trust alignment. I trust divine timing. And I think it'll make its way into the conversation whenever it needs to. And I would hope, or I want to convince you that you too are in alignment with this thought process, that it can work for you as well. I think Yeah, it starts with listening. And that what that does, it takes the pressure off. And when you interact with people and you make it less about you and more about them, they open up more, and they're more comfortable with sharing, and they're more receptive to hearing too. Um, and that's an important part, because telling someone about your creative abilities when they're not listening means that nothing you said was retained. Telling somebody how amazing your creative gifts are when they're distracted by your delivery or the environment or something else doesn't help you any. Telling somebody about your creative abilities when they are pressed or pressured with something else happening in their life, and they are overwhelmed or feel as if though they are underwater with the pressures of life. There's no way that they are going to take what you say and retain it. The moment just is not right for that. And I think you have to be socially aware. You have to be able to read the room and understand that, hey, maybe not now. As much as this is an opportunity that I get in front of you, and I may not have this opportunity again, I feel like now is not the right time. And I think in those moments, your job as the creative is to figure out, how can I help? And if you want to be strategic about it, in offering help, see if there's an opportunity to inject or introduce or integrate your gift of creativity into that, where it serves as a support mechanism or a complement to the act of kindness or the extension of assistance. But I don't want to hear about what you do creatively when I'm trying to figure something that is pressing in my own life. And you have to be consciously aware of all of these things. And you don't know what's happening in everybody's life. But that's what I'm saying. In conversation, in organic conversations, people are going to tell you. And if you just listen for a second, you'll know. I think it doesn't take a lot for you to realize when is the right time to say the thing. If you just quiet that voice in your brain that says, say it, say it, say it, say it. And just listen. And when you listen, you are going to find that perfect space and place to put your creativity in front of the other person. And maybe it comes in a form of like a story or a memory, which we talked about last episode. Um, but I think it centers around making a connection. And that connection is important. And that connection can grow into almost like I want to say a component of value. Like that connection can turn into value. And that value will show itself through your creative gift. So I'm saying all that to say that I don't know that, well, I know that it is not halfway in the conversation. It's not at the beginning of the conversation. It's not at the end. It is wherever you feel like your creativity can be a bridge or offer a connection or offer support or offer anything that will help amplify the conversation, that will help strengthen or deepen the relationship between you and whoever it is that you're talking to. I think that is the right moment. I think your creative gift will organically present itself whenever the time is right. And don't feel pressured for that time to be now. You don't want to overwhelm anybody. You don't want to come across as inconsiderate. What you do want to do, though, is for whoever it is you're talking to value your conversation, to value the interaction. And at that point, it doesn't matter what your creative gift, because you are valuable. It is valuable as well. If two's a company and three's a crowd, what are 4 and 5? 4 and 5 is 9. 4 plus 5 is 9. I will leave you how I always leave you. Go be great.